everyone. This is my first post and I feel like I'm late to the party. But here's an incident that happened a little over a year ago. Trigger warning. It does slightly involve suicide, so read at your own caution. I used to work at McDonald's in my hometown with my friend Jake, and him and I were very close for a while. One day I got off of work and he was coming into work the second shift. I sat in his car to smoke a cigarette before he went into work, and I had a chiropractor appointment, as well as that afternoon. After sitting in his car for about 10 minutes, he decided he was going to skip work and go with me to my appointment. Before we took off, I noticed that he had a gold Four Loko in his cup holder, and when I asked him about it, he said it was from the night before, that he likes to sit in his car and drink while listening to music in his driveway. Me being naive, didn't think anything of it, because I knew he lived with his parents, and sitting in the car can be very relaxing. On our way there, he started driving weird, where he was swerving and he was just going the wrong way. When we started coming into a curve, he swung wide and turned into a sharp way, like a race car would. When I asked him why he did that, he said, "I used to be a racer, and that's why I took the curve like that." I said, "Okay, but did you have to do it when the car was coming?" He then proceeded to ask, "What car?" At that point, I was done with him driving and I took over for him. After my chiropractor appointment, I found him slumped over the console asleep. Fast forward roughly a year later, and I'd gotten a new job while working at the gas station. While working a second shift, Jake hit me up and my boyfriend, asking us to go to a bonfire and drink. I couldn't go as I was working, but I was going to meet up with them when I got off. Jake told my boyfriend that he rented a spot at a local campgrounds for a few days, so they went there. As they were hanging out, Jake got really messed up and started spilling secrets about the time we were going to the chiropractor. He then proceeds to tell my boyfriend that my boyfriend doesn't deserve me and that he does. Also that when we go to the chiropractor, he had taken 14 Percocets, a fifth of vodka, and was sipping on the same gold Four Loko I found in the car that day. He then got in a verbal and physical argument with a local family, and they called the cops on him. My boyfriend hightailed it out of there and watched as the cops rolled in along with the fire department and an ambulance. When he talked to one of the cops, they said they found him passed out, choking on his own vomit. When they woke him up, he tried to fight the cops. He then took off running, tripped over a log and rolled into the lake but couldn't swim. He was taken to the hospital and charged with public intoxication, assault and battery, wanting endangerment, and another charge. P.S. Whenever I go see my boyfriend on break, Jake walks out. I lock the car doors and I roll up my windows. Okay, so this happened earlier today, and I have no idea what to make of it. I might be wrong, but at the same time, I felt too off to be misunderstood. As I've said in previous Reddit posts, I pace out in habit. It was a coping mechanism for issues as a kid, and just is my go-to activity when I need to relax. Both my headphones are in so I can pace to music, and I can get lost in my thoughts. Someone's approached me in my own backyard when I was in high school, and scared me badly when it did it early in the morning. I posted that incident here too. I recently moved into an apartment with my friend for college. Our apartment is next to the city's old cemetery. Graves stretch back to the 1800s and are crumbling. It's that old, but it does have a few more recent graves. It's typically empty though, and the pathways are real nice, so I typically pace and jog there for my exercise. My dad has warned me against doing it in certain spots in the back, where I can't be seen by my apartment complex in the front, or the shipping plant next to it. I'm an adult, and obviously I believe I know enough, and don't think I'd be approached by anyone in daylight right next to a business, or my own home. That came back at me today. I was jogging outside. I look stupid when I pace, and I get embarrassed by it. Behind the hill in the cemetery, past the circle drive at the top of the hill. Basically, I can't see my apartment buildings till I get to the top. Earlier, I'd seen a crow land on a grave, and I got a bad feeling in my gut. I tend to listen to my gut, because there's too many times where I've gotten a bad feeling and noticed it helped avoid trouble. But it was broad daylight, about 3 p.m. I thought I could easily run home or scream if anything happened. There are 2 complexes in a neighborhood nearby, along with a shipping plant, so I found it hard to believe anyone would try anything here against me. So I ignored my bad feeling and continued my exercise, until I noticed a white truck that seemingly manifested out of nowhere at the Circle Drive, which was connected to the path towards the back, and to the path that I normally took from my apartment. The odd thing was that he was parked directly in front of the path, not to the side to leave space on it. He was completely blocking my normal path out. Immediately I stopped because the bad feeling returned, and the guy in the truck wasn't getting out. He was just waiting there, and it looked like he was watching me. It could have been my paranoia. I watched him for about a minute. When he didn't get out and still seemed to be watching, I took off running. I quickly pulled out my phone contacts and ran through the path that led to the front gate. The one I normally took was an open side gate. I didn't want to call the police because God forbid this actually ended up being some poor man mourning someone recently or long time deceased, and some stupid woman got scared and called the cops on him, and I wasted the officer's time. But I still felt wrong, so I pulled up my dad's contact. I was hoping that if this was a worst case scenario, they would see me take off running and put the phone to my ear, indicating that I was aware of what they were doing and authorities were on the way. I told my dad what was going on, and I thought I was being watched while running, and then called my roommate to ask him to wait outside the apartment. When he was able to see me once again, I made it past a certain point of the path, so there would be at least a witness if something happened. He agreed and grabbed his pepper spray and waited for me until I got back to the apartment. Thankfully, the truck didn't follow, but that could easily have been because if there were bad intentions, they realized they were caught. I called my dad to let him know that I was okay, and he informed me that a woman had gone missing in our area, and I remember seeing flyers for a missing teenage girl plastered in different stores in our mall the previous weekend. I had only seen that one flyer in multiple places. I had no idea that there was more than one missing. So now, I'm safely in my apartment with the doors locked. I'm on the second floor too. I don't know if I was just freaking out over nothing, or if I've avoided something that could have ended horribly for me. Either way, I was completely creeped out, and my fight or flight kicked in. What do you think, guys? Was I being stupid? Or was I valid to react the way I did? When I was 15 years old, my friend and I, both female, used to walk from school to her house. About a 30-minute walk. On Friday afternoons to start our weekends, we'd usually stop at this sub shop in town for an early dinner/snack to eat while we played video games and hung out. After we got our sandwiches, we walked outside to continue with her house. About 15 more minutes. Outside of the sub shop, there was this man sitting on the bench outside the shop, who I didn't see when we walked in. He was really tall and muscular, about 6'5", pale and bald, early to mid-30s, and very intimidating wearing a bright orange sweatshirt. The hairs on the back of my neck instantly stood up. As soon as I saw him, I noticed right away that after we passed him, he got up from the bench and started walking behind us. Not so weird, maybe just going on his way. But what made me instantly realize this dude wasn't right was that he was holding his phone to his ear, but he wasn't talking at all. This was just before smartphones became a thing, so it wasn't like he was just swiping along on Tinder or checking Instagram. And this time, if he had a flip phone out and clearly weren't talking to someone, that was weird, because that was the only thing he did with cell phones, was actually speak to people. So weird now, right? He did this for so long that he couldn't have been listening to a voicemail. I had this gut feeling that something was wrong, so I stopped walking and pretended to fumble around for something in my purse, so the man ended up in front of us and was no longer following behind us. I told my friend why I pretended to stop walking, and she kind of blew me off, that I was being paranoid. We start walking again, and there was this gas station up ahead. You could either walk around the gas station to the main road, or go down a side road around the gas station that will also eventually get you back to the main road, just a longer route. My friend and I cut through the gas station and the man went around it and ended up back behind us again. He was still holding onto his phone in his ear but not speaking. At this point, I'm internally freaking out. I know he's following us, but I'm trying to play it cool and come up with a plan. While my friend still doesn't take me seriously, we get to the turn that's a shortcut to my friend's house. Now, this road was pretty remote. Cars usually don't drive down there often, and there isn't a house for quite some time. But it was the faster way to get to my friend's house. Just past this road was a large shopping center. I told my friend that if we start to walk down this remote road, and the man follows, that he's 100% following us, because nobody goes down this road really ever. And that I would book it to my closest store in the shopping center. I turned around to check where the man is, and he somehow got significantly closer to us, and of course, started walking down the road. We made eye contact and he gave me the creepiest grin. I instantly start running with my friend following me, and we run into the Rite Aid, while the guy continues to follow, but he doesn't go into the store. We get into the store and the cashier takes notice that we're freaked out, and asks what's wrong. So we tell her and she asks if we need the police, but we decide that if I just call my dad instead to pick us up, and drop us off at my friend's house. My dad arrived about 10 minutes later with the cashier clerk keeping an eye on us, and the man nowhere to be found. Yet. My dad wanted to find the guy, but my dad was older in his 60s, and the man was in his maybe 30s and huge, so definitely would have beaten up my dad or worse. So I just begged him to get in the car and get away from here. I was only 15, in hindsight I should have reported this to the cops. Here's the creepiest part of the story. After we get in the car, I see the man pop up in the parking lot from behind a parked car and start walking the other way. That guy was definitely waiting for us to come out of the store. Followed us to do God knows what. I didn't say anything because I didn't want my dad to try to fight him or have something bad happen. But it just confirmed that this creep was following us and planning to do some harm, kidnap or worse. Thankfully, my friend and I were fine and I never saw the guy again. But my friend told her friend about the incident, and she said that she knew the guy because he lives near her. He is definitely a creep and has multiple complaints against him. I haven't heard or seen of him after that. I hope he never did anything harmful to anybody. I still think about this story 12 years later, and it's the reason I'm aware of my surroundings at all times, especially when I'm walking alone. Hey everybody, just want to say thank you for watching the video. I know I usually have a little bit here that I say at the end. I'm not feeling too good right now. I was feeling a little bit better when I was recording this, but I'm doing this last a little bit later in the day. But I'm still trying to finish up the video. I want to go and get this out to you guys. And yeah, that's about it. So I'm probably going to go drink a bunch of medicine and lay back down. I'm going to try to edit this as much as I can and get it out to you. And that'll be that. So, and then I'll try to hope I can feel better so I can record some more stuff tonight. And yeah. And also Violet ate all the cookies and she's super proud of it. She's smiling at me right now.